someone offered free services as a sample to a prospective client, is he allowed to subtract the cost of those services from his Maaser? And if yes, does he subtract the real cost that the services cost him, or what he would normally charge for said services?
So what's that? Which side were we talking about? The one who provided free services, free sample?
I will say so, yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So that's for sure. You separate this from your profit, right? Why? Because that's what you required to do, right? In order to make profit, whatever you need to make. We did not get to it, but basically, if you need the car to get to your clients, so you can charge some amortization of the car, some rental of the car or lease of the car. Some you have to if you're self-employed, you have to calculate percentage-wise how much you using your car for business and how much you're using it for your family, right? For the leisure. You understand? So and gas and everything. So you have to use gas to get your customer. You have to pay tolls. Have to pay maintenance on your car. So all of these things, if meaning it's not when, but it's only when you're self-employed. If you work for somebody, you cannot subtract this. Understand? But if you're self-employed, you can subtract all these things. If you need a suit, right? Expensive suit. For example, I don't know, so they sell some kind of sales and they expensive suit for $3,000. Let's say this crazy amount, right? So you can and if this suit is cost $3,000, but normally it's if you would not did this crazy job, so you would buy yourself suit for $100. So this extra, I mean, you would need to buy a suit anyway, but not for $3,000. So you would separate from the profits. Okay, there is some depreciation, but right? The accountants know in a tax law, for example, you did some home improvements, so they actually do this depreciation over the period 10 years. I don't know, over a period of time, right? Or in the Tzedakah, I guess you can do it once. Okay, so all other things you can deduct absolutely 100%. You're welcome.
Okay, I'm gonna read this before I. Okay, next one says, if we are poor and need to invest our revenue in equipment to establish greater revenue, do we subtract necessary investments from our accounting of Maaser?
I said, if person could you say if person is a poor, right? Say it again.
Yeah, if we are poor and need to invest our revenue in equipment to establish greater revenue.
Yes.
Do we subtract necessary investments from our accounting of Maaser?
So I would it would depend how poor a person is. So if they can still survive, or without this money they would not have anything to eat, for example, or this money with revenue that they get in right now is not enough to survive. They have to depend on tzedakah as well. Right, from others. So I said don't. In this case, don't. So just build up your income, and then you would be able to give to your tzedakah. You're welcome. Or another part, another thought you can write down. So I own to tzedakah this and this amount, but at this point, since my income is shaky, so I'm going to reinvest, But when the time comes, in a year from now, 6 months, 8 months from now, so this money I'm planning to give to Tzedakah. You can also do that. So do not deny completely, but at least acknowledge it and say, I'm going to pay later.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome.
On this same topic, it says, if we reinvest our revenue to establish greater revenue with the result to separate Maaser later, what is the boundary of when this is no longer permitted and further reinvestment and delay is neglecting Maaser for the sake of fiscal goals?
I guess if people, if you know that are poor people and they need to eat today, and you try to make a million or 100,000, so that's the stealing from the poor people. You understand? So we must feed them. So it's like, is it like specific numbers from how many times you need to invest? So if there is a need for you Maaser, so maybe you would not be able to invest many times. But if there is no specific need that you're aware of, so maybe you can just write down, and as we said before, you're allowed to borrow from your Maaser. If it's like if you say for example, you don't have cash, right? You don't have cash, but you have some liquidity, right? I don't know, whatever, you have stocks or something. Some things that you can easily to convert to cash. There's no problem, you can borrow. Right? But still, the thing is, the issue that I see it, right? The issue that I see that a person can get carried away, and then forget to pay it, and then it's my money, and it's not Maaser. Maybe they forgot, maybe they lazy bums let them go to work. So that's how Yitzhak works. So I would say don't provoke it. HaShem said that test me, as we learned, right? He said, and only in this case, is Maaser test me. If you give Maaser, you're going to be rich. Okay, so you do that. Don't do your little calculations. You understand? So maybe it's going to be blessing if you give appropriately this 10%. I just say maybe it's going to be blessing on the rest of the money. If you're not going to separate, maybe it's going to be Chas v'Shalom opposite. Person is going to lose everything. So it's like a money insurance, like investment insurance to give Maaser. Okay.
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
Welcome.